Ejaculation control is both a skill and something that's also reliant upon the balance of your body, your mind, and even your brain health. There's 8 really important components I'm going to talk about that if you implement, you are going to attain elite levels of ejaculation control, even if you only last a few seconds right now. Number 6 alone is going to fix the issue for the majority of men. I went from being a 2-pump chump to literally lasting as long as I want during sex. And many of the men I've worked with have been able to do the same thing. Let's dive into the 8 components of ejaculation control. I'm Jonathan White, and I've spent the last 12 years training and studying intensively in Taoist sexual practices, tantra, meditation, qigong, Chinese medicine. And because of this, I've been able to help thousands of men from around the world learn to master their sexual energy and performance and manifest their ideal life. In this video, I'm only going to present the best of the best, the things that will absolutely make a difference for you. The first one, the most simplest place to start, is the breath. Proper breathing is conducive to developing sexual stamina because the ejaculation response is essentially a stress response. It's one of tension. It means that your sympathetic nervous system is taking over. The easiest way to change this is to change your breathing. Generally, when men are approaching the edge, they start to tense up and breathe very shallow. In fact, I think most men are probably breathing like that the whole time during sex. So if you instead breathe fully in the lower belly, think of counting to 4 seconds in, inhaling, hold it for a moment, count to 4 seconds out, exhaling. Really think of breathing deep, like you're trying to breathe into your pelvic floor to inflate it. So this is the easiest way to take control of your nervous system. I remember when I first started implementing this, because one of the first things that I learned was to breathe. I was like, wow, I've never consciously breathed during sex before. I've never intentionally taken deep breaths. And immediately I noticed that it was much easier to control ejaculation. And also my pleasure intensified because instead of it just feeling localized in the genitals, this deep breathing relaxed my body and I started to feel pleasure around my entire body. And that's also one of the keys to getting into full body orgasm states. So ask yourself right now, how do you breathe during sex? Do you even know? And this is an interesting thing to start observing and experimenting. So deep, full breathing during sex or even during masturbation as a training tool is one of the essential foundations for ejaculation control because it's something that you can always control in every moment. And if you want a more comprehensive training in how to breathe properly during sex, make sure you get my free ebook, which has 3 techniques for legendary ejaculation control. You'll learn exactly how to breathe properly during sex. You can find that in the description of this video. The second component is to make sound. This ties in right with what we were just talking about because on the exhale, instead of just passively exhaling like a silent meditator, you can make some sound. And that could be all kinds of things. It could be as simple as just like a sigh. It could be a deep moan. Oh, it could be an animalistic growl. Oh, yeah! Make some sound. Men are often very stifled during sex. They're very suppressed. I started realizing when I got into these sexual practices, I've just been like a stiff, boring, lifeless, not making it. I was silent. I was like embarrassed to make sound. I was embarrassed will she judge me? It was just silly. I started to just allow myself to make sound. First just moaning. It was, and then there was one time in particular, this was probably 5 or 6 years ago. I was having vigorous sex with my girlfriend at the time, and it's getting intense. And I'm hitting the buildup. I'm like, if I don't do something, I'm going to ejaculate. It was like I was right on the edge. And I was just like, I just instinctually knew to just let out like a roar, like a lion, just at the top of my lungs. And I didn't ejaculate. And from that, I realized I almost can't ejaculate if I'm really intensively making sound. So let yourself express. This moves energy. It opens up your nervous system. It creates this vibration through your body, and it will intensify the pleasure that you feel while preventing too much of a buildup in the genitals. So make some sound. Play with this. Do you usually make sound during sex? Most men don't. So right away, this is something that you can instantly implement that is going to really improve your pleasure and lasting skills. That brings us to number 3, which is to balance your neurotransmitters. Now, this is actually a very comprehensive subject in of itself. I'm basically just gonna give you a quick summary of what this means, because again, ejaculation control, there's things you can do physically, but ultimately, this is also, it requires maintenance, keeping your body and mind and good health. There's 3 neurotransmitters, which are these natural chemicals in your body that send signals through the body to create specific things to happen. 3 in particular we want to look at are serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. Now there's many more than that involved, but just to give you an understanding of how this works. For example, serotonin. When your serotonin level is high, you're less likely to have the ejaculation response occur. If your serotonin levels are low, it's extremely easy for that ejaculation response to get triggered, because part of what's happening here is a signal is going from your genitals to your brain saying, hey, open up the valves, shoot, let's have a nice fat sticky sneeze right now. So when you're low in serotonin, it's very difficult to have ejaculation control. This is also interesting because people who take SSRI, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, which is a very common medication, they actually tend to lose their sex drive. They lose sexual interest, and they have an almost impossible time experiencing orgasm or even sexual pleasure because their serotonin is too high. And some doctors actually put men on these for premature ejaculation, which is terrible because it's like, okay, you have premature ejaculation, well, now you can't enjoy sex. Like, what's the point? And I'll talk more about how to balance this, but that brings me to the next neurotransmitter, which is dopamine. High dopamine levels are linked to easy sexual excitability, quick ejaculating, essentially. And there's this relationship between serotonin and dopamine. When serotonin is low, dopamine is usually high. Another thing that affects dopamine levels that's very relevant to this is consuming porn. Watching porn, it fires off all this dopamine in your brain. Too much, actually, because it starts to fry your receptors and they shut down afterwards. So afterwards, your dopamine's very low. You feel super depressed. And then there's norepinephrine, which is a neurotransmitter related to your sympathetic nervous system, your fight or flight response. Men who have premature ejaculation, they tend to have high levels of norepinephrine in their systems. And so what we want to focus on is balancing these 3 things. Now, we don't have to get too crazy with it. Low levels of serotonin are related to stress, nutritional deficiencies, and a lack of sunlight, not getting enough sleep. Dopamine is a chemical that's very much affected by the consumption of media, especially porn, looking at a screen. Norepinephrine can also be affected by screen time and porn, but especially just general daily stress. Basically, to help balance your neurotransmitters, you want to do a few things. Number 1, avoid unnecessary stressors as much as you can, specifically mental stress. If you find yourself overthinking, worrying about things, you really want to address that. And the last component I'm going to share in this video will really help with this managing stress. Other things that are going to help balance your neurotransmitters are getting out in nature. Go for a walk in the woods, or at least at a park. Listen to the birds singing, feel the grass beneath your feet. It has a very stabilizing effect on your brain chemistry. Also, getting sunlight is very important for proper serotonin levels. And make sure that you're getting important nutrients in your diet. You're getting your B vitamins, your essential minerals, saturated fats. All these things are gonna have the proper building blocks for healthy neurotransmitters. I had experience when I was like 19 years old, and I was dating this girl at the time, and I came home from work and was like, oh, I'm gonna watch some porn. And then my girlfriend's gonna come over. Great idea. So I was watching porn, and I wasn't even going to ejaculate it. Just thought it was a good idea to watch some porn. And then my girlfriend came over and we went to have sex, and I ejaculated, I literally didn't even get fully hard. I ejaculated in 2 seconds. I'm like, well, that sucked. That was embarrassing. What had happened here was I had overloaded my brain chemistry, had overstimulated, my dopamine receptors, my norepinephrine by watching porn. And I was in the state of ultra excitement, and then I went into sex and just ejaculated instantly. So just an obvious thing that paints the picture of that, which is why one of the best ways to balance your brain chemistry is to definitely avoid watching porn. I don't think any man should watch porn. I don't think there's any benefit to it, but also spending less time on a screen. It really hijacks your neurotransmitters. And make sure you get proper sleep. The next component of ejaculation control is pelvic floor relaxation. Coming back to ejaculation being a stress response, when men are in a stressed out state, they tend to hold a lot of tension in their pelvic floor muscles. And this strengthens this communication between the genitals and the brain along the pathway of the sympathetic nervous system to send the communication to ejaculate. So basically, pelvic floor tension makes it much easier for you to ejaculate. What does not help with this, it makes it worse, is that everyone's recommending kegels. All these sexual health experts are saying, do kegels, it'll make your dick harder, you'll last longer, which is complete bullshit. It actually tends to make erections worse, and having pelvic floor tension strengthens that ejaculation response. When you train yourself to keep your pelvic floor completely relaxed during sex, you will not ejaculate. This was the biggest game changer for me because what everyone's saying is do all these kegels. So I'm doing all these kegels, doing kegel after kegel. I'm like, oh, yeah, if I just have a strong enough pelvic floor, I can just squeeze off ejaculation. Never worked, never happened. It only made me more sensitive towards ejaculating. And once I learned to keep my pelvic floor relaxed during sex, that's when I developed complete ejaculation control. I want you to pay attention to this. You can even notice right now, is your pelvic floor tense, as if you were slightly doing a kegel, trying to hold back urine. Relax. And here's another tip that goes along with this, kind of a subcategory of what I'm talking about right here, which is to balance your posterior and anterior muscle chains in your body. I know this may sound overly technical, but basically what this means is that one of the reasons a lot of men have pelvic floor tension is that they're anterior chain dominant. They're very dominant in their quadricep muscles instead of the hamstrings and the glutes. And often their pelvis is stuck in anterior pelvic tilt, meaning the hips are kind of thrusting forward, the butt's kind of sticking out, creating a curve in the spine. This actually creates a strong tension, a pulling on the pelvic floor muscles. You can do a bit more research of this on your own. Just look up how to strengthen your posterior chain, specifically working more on your glutes and your hamstrings. Having good postural muscle support really helps to take a load off of the pelvic floor so that you can relax it properly. Here's another pro tip. During sex, think of using your glutes to drive your movements, because a lot of men actually kind of move from this anterior chain pelvic floor engagement. Well, if you can drive it from your glutes, from your hamstrings, it's going to take the pressure off your pelvic floor so you can keep it relaxed and your ejaculation will be elite level. And if you want specific training that's going to help you overcome this involuntary tension during sex to keep your pelvic floor relaxed, again, that's in my free ebook, which you can get in the description of this video. Number 5 is energy circulation. I know this may sound a bit woo-woo, but for my training in Taoist practice, qigong, meditation, tantra, yoga, qi is very real. Life force is very real. Anyone can learn to feel it. Just takes a bit of practice. I spent years training in qigong because once I started doing it, I was like, damn, this gets me high. I feel incredible. And then I started to feel like these electricity currents moving through my body. I'm like, damn, this is awesome. And I learned how to control that. How to control that with my mind, how to direct the flow of life force within my body. This is exactly what you do in the sexual practices, because in your genitals, when you're becoming aroused, there's a buildup of bioelectricity, energy, nervous system information, all this. It's building up. And what usually happens is it gets stuck down there and it builds to a maximum level. You have to ejaculate it out. You discharge it out. And that's one way to deal with it. But the sexual kung fu way is to train. There's a whole process of training because you're opening up the energy channels of the body so that there is a pathway for this excitement to move in. And then once that's developed, you simply move your mind, use some breathing and slight physical gestures to guide the energy to other areas of your body. Instead of this buildup getting stuck in the genitals, now you release that, you send it up your spine, you send it to the rest of the body. And this actually starts to move your orgasms. So you start to have orgasms in your entire body instead of just your genitals. It's pretty badass. And there's a practice that will help you to specifically do it, which is called testicle breathing. I have a guided testicle breathing video that will teach you exactly how to start circulating your sexual energy through your body, because this is like the pro level stuff. And let me ask you this right now, do you have any sort of daily practice, or at least regular practice that is like a mind-body training? Something that helps you to get more in your body, develop body awareness, balance your nervous system. Maybe it's yoga, martial arts. I think qigong is the best one to directly work with your energy. And if you don't, you want to start one. If you hope to attain ejaculation control, you've got to have a good mind-body connection. If you don't already, I would highly encourage you to check out qigong practices. I've got a whole playlist on my YouTube channel of qigong exercises. That's going to help you develop the skill of energetic circulation. And component number 6 is to stop performing for her. Stop performing for your partner. This is the biggest one for most men. I talk to guys all the time. They're like, yeah, when I'm on my own, I have complete ejaculation control. I can do all this sexual kung fu stuff, but as soon as I'm with a woman, it just goes out the window. This is usually because there's this fear of displeasing someone. You have a fear of disappointing, the partner you're having sex with. And what's happening is the most important thing for you is their validation of you. Them saying, yes, I accept you, you're okay, you are a good lover. That's the most important thing to you. And this goes deep into people-pleasing patterns, nice guy syndrome. You've learned to make other people feel good about you as a survival instinct, as a survival strategy, but which is completely ridiculous. If you can stop giving a shit about who cares if I come too soon, who cares? And you just allow yourself to enjoy sex. Stop putting women on this pedestal. Stop putting her orgasm on a pedestal. Ironically, when you stop caring about if she's going to orgasm or not, and you just allow yourself to enjoy sex, what do you want? What kind of sex do you want to have? Just allow yourself to have fun. Make this your erotic playground. So when you do it for your enjoyment, instead of trying to please your partner, it takes the pressure off of them so that they don't freeze up, they feel more open to the situation, and you no longer feel all this pressure to perform. You're able to just enjoy yourself. So that's one of the biggest things for men. Stop being a people pleaser. Seventh component is to make sure that you have stress relief outlets in your life. Sex shouldn't be your only stress relief. Sex and masturbation should not be your only stress relief. This comes down to your nervous system health. When you're stressed out all the time, you're just living in tension and worry and stress, overthinking, it takes a toll on your mind and your body, and you're stuck in fight or flight mode. And because that's where ejaculation is happening, when you go to have sex, you usually ejaculate immediately because you're just this pressure cooker. So have ways to release your stress. I'm gonna share a few things that I use personally. For me, my qigong practice is fantastic. Yoga practice, like any kind of stretching routine, breathing exercises, breath work, martial arts, having places to vent your anger and frustration is very important as well. A lot of men often hold all this resentment towards women and they're not really dealing with it, and that actually comes out during sex as premature ejaculation. So you need to be able to vent your anger in a healthy way. Getting a massage is probably one of the best things you can do as far as external support for stress and even ejaculation control, because it helps to release bound up tension within your body, which also helps to release bound up tension within your mind. Spending some time out in nature, just going for a mindful walk, not listening to podcasts or music, just being there, being present, listening to birds and the sound of the wind through the trees, all these things. So have some kind of stress release outlets and routines in your life. This is essential. Decompress before you have sex. Otherwise, your body's going to quickly ejaculate as a way to decompress, and it becomes addictive. Finally, number 8 is to practice meditation. And this goes right off of having a stress relief routine, because that's one of the major benefits of meditation is getting out of monkey mind, intense stress. But meditation also helps you to be more aware of how you're engaging your mind, because this is a skill you need, an essential skill you need to develop ejaculation control, is to be able to observe where your mind is, where it's going, and to be able to control it. Instead of being driven by your unconscious thoughts, talking about the performance anxiety stuff, like worrying so much about what she thinks about you, if you just let your mind go in all these directions, it can be difficult to attain ejaculation control. And so developing a sharp, focused mind by practicing meditation is going to very powerfully correlate over to ejaculation control. You're going to have much more focus, much more presence, much more attention span, which is a very lacking quality in this ADD world, because people spend so much time TikTok video after TikTok video. Attention and focus are the greatest skills you can cultivate in this modern age. What that's going to do is give you much more body awareness, to where you realize, oh, I'm focused. I can tell that this tension's creeping up in my pelvic floor. Let me relax this. Oh, I'm not breathing properly. Let me take a deep breath. Oh, my mind's going back in this place of worry. Let me just empty it. Just be here in the present moment again. So practicing meditation is a very, very valuable thing that will improve your ejaculation control for a number of reasons. This will also help you to balance your neurotransmitters, your brain chemistry, and your nervous system. Whew. Okay, there's the 8 components. It's taken me 12 years to really understand and implement all these things, guys. And there you go. I'm here kind of like your big brother. I'm here to save you time, save you energy. You don't have to make the same mistakes I made. You just you get the shortcut. The thing is, you have to implement it, all right? If this is just another entertainment video, it's gonna get you nowhere. Next thing I want you to do is to watch a video I made called How to Master Ejaculation Control. That will help you continue your ejaculation control training. Make sure you subscribe to the channel to stay notified when new content like this drops. Give this video a like. Make sure you get my free ejaculation control ebook, which has guided video trainings in it as well, through the link in the video description of this video. Best wishes to you on your sexual journey. Take care out there, my friend.